St. Aidan's Day. You asked me 12 months ago who Aidan was, I probably would have stopped and said, well, he was in England somewhere at some stage. I wouldn't have a clue. So now I've been set straight. I've got a lot more awareness who Aidan was, and I've discovered that he had his own island, kind of. That's the island of Lindisfarne, which is, and I know, Diana, you've been there, haven't you? And we've got other people that have been there. Okay. So really, you ought to be saying this, not me. I'd now like to go there, but it's actually a fair way away, isn't it? I thought maybe we could have a church tour over it. No.
As long as you go at the right time of the day.
Well, that's true. Thank you. It is a coastal island, and hence you picked that up in the prayer of the day. If you picked it up, that he's going with the tides because it's accessible at low tide. I think you can walk for 3 miles from the shore to the island when the tide's out. If you mistime your walk, you may need some help. Likewise, there is a driving route too, I believe. So I have better experts than me. But anyway, and Andy has put around pictures of the island. I guess the significance is that Aidan has played a special role in our history and in the lives of many people, and in some ways has shaped who we are and what we are today. You might notice that there is a sculpture of Aidan. Where is it? Up there. You can even just pick it out that he's holding something in his hand. It is a flame. I wonder what it was at first. This is my effort to do a flame. You can do your own effort. I haven't got one for you. He's holding the flame. He came with the flame, the light of the Christian faith to the people of Northumbria, which was the north of England at that time. We're talking 600s, 635 to be exact, is when he did the 300-mile journey from Iona on the little island on the west side of Scotland, across Scotland to eventually to Lindisfarne, which the King of Northumbria had offered to him because the King of Northumbria had become a Christian. And most of that region, as you might understand, was pagan. A bit like Australia today. We're pagans, mate. We're off to the footy. But probably different in the sense that Aussies might have a little bit of a memory in the past on it. Anyway, he made that 300-mile journey, pilgrimage from Iona to Lindisfarne. Of course, he never went back there. Very different times than what we have today. But he brought the fire of Christianity to the north of England. And the name Aidan means little fiery one. So hence, thank you for those who found some red in the wardrobe. I don't have a lot of red. This red jumper does, but these guys over here, where's your hat, Liz? Oh, you need to have your hat on, mate. So there we go. It's Les and Phil. They would fit in at Lindisfarne very easily, mate. I think it'd just be a natural there. So anyway, that's what that is. So I guess I was feeling like, how do we capture this? Church is called St. Aidan's, and from the booklet, centenary booklet, it appears that it was called St. Aidan's by the first vicar of Philip Hayman back in 1923, 100 years ago. It doesn't say why he chose Aidan. There you go. So but that's who this church is. So I thought, what can we learn from the basis of this person? I have a script here today. I don't normally have a script, but I'm going to try and follow the script. Okay. So I say here, I want to welcome those who've been Aidenites for many years. And we only need to look at Bob and Margaret and Jim and Dawn. You know, there's history wrapped up there, isn't there? History wrapped up. If they could put it all together, we'd have even more history of the whole area as well as St. Aidan's. I also want to welcome those who more recently dared to join this church. Takes courage to join a church, I think. To come through the doors, you know, to say what's in there, what are the people like, what do they do, what am I meant to do? Anyway, welcome if you've taken a step in that direction or if you're in the process of that. But I also want to welcome those who may belong to other churches or not yet any church, because it's significant to have you with us. I was thinking through the week of the importance of allies. You know, if you've got challenges in your life, it's good to have allies, isn't it? It's not all up to you. Other people who might be, as it were, on your side, even if they're not kind of directly involved in the situation. You know you have people backing you, supporting you, allies. I'd like to welcome you as allies. See yourself as allies. That's why you're very welcome to complete that response sheet that's in the bulletin today. Not that we're expecting you to join us as a church community. If you're in a church community, alternatively, fantastic. Blessings to all that you're doing in that church community. But we also welcome you as an ally. I'm a relative newcomer. It's just been this year. Helen and I have been here after Daniel finished earlier in the year. And I've been digging into Aidan, as I said. In fact, I found a stimulating 3-week series of devotions from a guy called Pete Gregg, who back in June himself made that journey from Iona to Lindisfarne, 300 miles in 3 weeks. I calculated it's about 15 miles a day, which I'm not sure that I could do that. But anyway, every day of that trip for 3 weeks, 21 days, he did a little devotional, for about a 12-minute devotional, reflecting on Aidan and the other Celtic monks and the journey that they made, because Aidan would have gone with about a dozen others, and the way they approached their life, their relationship with God and their ministry. So it's been stimulating to do that for the last 3 weeks. And I found out we owe more to Aidan than I realised. But Aidan was crucial in the adoption of Christianity in Northumbria, the north of England, at a time when paganism was strong and conflict between the tribes frequent. For those of us who have forebears that once lived in the north of England, anybody got forebears that once came from the north of England? Okay. You could say we have Aidan directly in our spiritual bloodline, fed down through the generations. Today, I'm inviting you to be thankful for the past, appreciative of the present, and embracing of the future. I want to paint for you a picture of the future, drawing from the example of Aidan and the kind of church he worked to establish. He established a communal base at Lindisfarne, a common monastic order where people lived, they worked the ground, and from which they went out to the streets of Northumbria among the ordinary people of the day. The king, who had invited Aidan to come and in a sense evangelise the peoples of his area, gave Aidan a horse for his travels. but he promptly gave it away to the first beggar he met, as he wanted to walk among the people as one of them. One of Aidan's things is simplicity. He's known for his simplicity, simple life, as it were. He didn't want a horse, he just wanted to go by foot. And a book I've been working my way through, it's an Aidan's Way of Mission by a guy called Ray Simpson. Have you got that, people? You must.
Yes, I've been studying that this last year. Fantastic.
Now, where do you come from?
Record at the moment.
Sorry?
Record at the moment.
Okay. Anyway, I just thought, I'm just trying to get my head around Aidan, and there's not a lot out there, but, you know, this is, there's a community of Aidan and Hilda that exists following in those steps. But according to this one little quote, Aidan's vision of church could be described as God-shaped hub communities that have a heart for God, others, and community. So a God-shaped hub community that has a heart for God, others, and the wider community. Like a village church where people gathered and did life, faith and learning together. Now, the suburbs of a big metropolis like Melbourne seem a long way, perhaps, from a village. However, within our suburbs, people are still looking for community, for connection, for something you could so call a village, I think, for gathering places, for a sense of place and purpose, amid the endless repetition of streets and houses and neighbours who you don't know. An interesting phenomenon, I think, in the last 2 or 3 decades has been the rise of the cafe and coffee culture. People gather, don't they, in cafes and coffee bars, and I just had the week before last, a few days up, our daughter's on the Gold Coast at the moment. Well, you know, you've got the beach, you've got the sea, you've got the sand, and then you've got the cafes. All goes together. But people are looking for a place where they can sit, converse, and be in community. Despite our digital world and all its connections, and though we gravitate to the crowd experiences of national sporting teams, people are looking for a hub community, a village church. This was Aidan's model, and it's a model that's very timely, in my view, 1400 years later. It's a model that embedded the Christian faith into the England of that time. So, grounded in the approach of Aidan, I ask 3 questions of us today. Can St Aidan's be a house of prayer? Remember how when Jesus entered the temple courts and sees the corruption and greed of what following God had become, he upends the tables and goes back to the words of Isaiah 57:7. My house will be a house of prayer for all nations. What would it be? Aidan ran a house of prayer, really. They were far stricter in their prayer times and their faithfulness in prayer than I know I am, and I suspect many are. But the house of God will be a house of prayer for all nations. Prayer was at the centre of Aidan's life and all the Celtic monks. For them, the realm of the supernatural infused the natural. They believed God was right among them, that he heard and answered prayer in the midst of the turbulent time in which they lived. On one occasion, the kingdom of Northumbria was under attack by the kingdom of Mercia, which was to the south. Their armies were at the gates of Bamberg, where the king lived, with the king and his people holed up inside. That's on the coast, just on Lindisfarne's off the coast from it. To break into the city, they piled against the gates wood and flame to burn them out, and wait for the wind to push the flames through the city. It is said that Aidan, watching from his prayer island off the coast, saw this and interceded, and the wind blew in the other direction, and the armies of Mercia retreated. What could it look like for us as a church community to be open for prayer? Do we have the space? Do we have the will? How can we encourage the practice and discipline of prayer? Should we have a book in which people can write prayer requests? Should we have a special space people can access to spend time with God? Yes, I know we can spend time with God anywhere, and that's really vital. I mean, we have a little table just at the side there that I think people use as a little bit of a prayer thing, but maybe we can incorporate prayer. There are ways that prayer could be incorporated because people in our world need prayer. And lots of people in the world, even if they're not convinced Christians, are looking for something. And if you offer to pray for them, they might say no, but they might say yes. As it was once said, if you're in the trenches, there are very few atheists. People look for help wherever you can get it. The more desperate you are, the more open you are to prayer. Can St. Aidan's be a house of prayer? Secondly, can St. Aidan's be a place of hospitality and help? Can wayfarers come in and find a welcome, receive a cuppa and conversation? Can this kitchen provide a meal to eat in or take away? Can we give the help of a listening ear or a practical hand where it is needed? In what way can we engage with our neighbourhood? It is said that the communities Aidan established were open ones where people could find help, not a welfare institution with professionals and clients, but a community with a spirit of faith and hope and love. What could that look like for us? One idea is to just extend the Thursday sing-along a bit more and become part of a bit of a movement out there called the Chatty Cafe scheme, where they kind of promote venues as places where people can come and chat. You don't actually have to be a proper cafe. So, I mean, that's one option. What else? I mean, what can we do to open the door to minister to people? I know we have limited personnel numbers and limited capacity, so it's little steps, little tweaking the steps. I was noticed yesterday in a newspaper that their weekend magazine issue was called the Ideas issue and had 50 ideas that people had come up with, talked about inside. But ideas, everything starts with an idea, doesn't it? So if you have any ideas, little ideas, you can have big goals and big plans. It takes heap of work, but sometimes it's the little things that really count. But can we be a place of hospitality and help? I think that connects with what Aidan will be looking to do. And thirdly, can St. Aidan's be a centre of creativity and learning? Providing education was really important to Aidan. It enabled people to read the scriptures, which would have been in Latin probably at that time, and other writings. But learning the scriptures, for example, is such a need today, isn't it? People can be educated with PhDs in our modern world and yet be ignorant of the teaching and learning that is our heritage in the Christian faith. Quite a remarkable situation we're in there. St. Aidan had a vision for centres of creativity and learning, which involve learning practical skills. You've got to understand that, when these guys, so-called monks, but they came there, they had to build their own place to stay, didn't they? They had to do it themselves. They had to grow their own food. It wasn't just, turning up on a Sunday. It was a whole life which involved relationship with God and relationship with the earth, with the ground. They didn't do. They built out of wood, not stone. The stone, more permanent structures of stone came later. Aidan favoured a simpler wooden approach to his building, it is understood. So there's a lot of practical skills that Aidan encouraged. The problem with using notes, you place a bit, don't you? Yeah, no, I got there. So learning practical skills related to the ground, growing things. Some of you are gardeners, some of you are, do other creative things with wool or painting. And we encourage people to bring creative things today. So in the hall over lunch, there's a display of creative things. There's also, cooking, and people are creative in the kitchen. Any blokes might be creative in the shed, I don't know. Putting things together, fixing things, writing poetry, taking photographs, seeing opportunities. Creativity can be of the mind, it doesn't have to be of the fingers. It can be creative thoughts and ideas that see things that maybe other people miss. Aidan encouraged a standard of creativity. And God has made us all creative in some way or another, for we're part of His creation. And maybe you think creatively or have developed creative skills in music or art or garden or sculpture. Got any sculptors here? What if we did a sculpture and had it out the front? That would turn a few heads. The higher the better. I was trying to think at one point, sometimes communities have something that's iconic, don't they? Like if you think of Sydney, what do you think of? Opera House or Harbour Bridge. After that, I've got no idea. But if you tell me Sydney, I think Opera House, Sydney Bridge. When you think of we live in Frankston. When you think of Frankston, I picture the foreshore and there's a sort of a bridge over the foreshore there. I was thinking, what's iconic in Parkdale? Skyway. Okay, thank you, John. Good observation. I've got the feeling not everybody's happy about that. Okay, Well, let's think of something iconic that we've got the space to put something iconic there. Our beautiful beach, yeah. There's a library, there's other places. Anyway. That's my thought. Maybe there's something that connects with our gospel that is also beautiful, that's also invites people to reflect and consider. Okay. What if St. Aidan's was a community where such gifts were encouraged, shared, and passed on to others for the glory of God? So gifts could be, little skills. Those of you who have skills might be able to share it with others who'd like to learn, all those sorts of things. You could say that Aidan's vision was for a village church, a church among the people, a church of the people. It was a vision that took root and was passed on. Aidan died in 651, and another famous Celtic monk, Cuthbert, took over in his stead. If Aidan came today, I reckon this is a direction he would head in bringing the gospel to the people of Parkdale and beyond. A community church deeply devoted to the way of Jesus, accessible and open, the centre for prayer, hospitality and help, creativity and learning. What do you think? What can you do? What excites you? Many of us are in the fourth quarter of our lives. I know. Yet God is still at work. Moses was 80 when he was called. Abraham was older still. God isn't finished. He can do it through available people and other people that he'll call into himself. So thank you for your support for this parish over many years, or over the last few years, or however long or short it's been. Thank you for the Thanksgiving offerings today, those offering envelopes that we distributed a few weeks ago, giving opportunity to make a special offering today. Church is not about money, but God invites us to give freely and openly of what he has given to us to enable churches, village churches like this, to be open, to have a ministry, to hold up to hold my flame, to hold up the flame for the sake of the community in which we live. We still don't know the exact state of the future for this particular church, but being financially viable is part of our challenge. And I actually wonder also whether out of the creativity of the people, who knows what can emerge? Maybe little income streams may emerge as well to supplement and contribute to the ministry as a whole. I believe that if we get on with honouring God, putting him first, and loving the people of this community, there is a big future for this church community. So thank you to all of you, sisters and brothers, friends and allies, in being part of the great venture, which is also an adventure. I'm going to finish with a prayer. I'm thinking to myself, we're finishing late today, but then I remember we started late.
Yes.
I can relax. Okay. Here's a prayer from the community of Aidan and Hilda. Lord, we offer you all we are, all we have, all we do, and all whom we shall meet this day, even pilots above us, that you will be given the glory. We offer you our homes and work, our schools and leisure, and everyone in our community today. May all be done as unto you. We offer you the broken and hungry. May the wealth and work of the world be available to all, and for the exploitation of none. May your presence be known to all. Circle us, Lord. Keep strife without, keep peace within. Keep fear without, keep hope within. Keep pride without, keep trust within. Keep evil out, keep good within. May we walk in the hope of your King. Fill us with your light. Be with us all through this day. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.